The RPM Podcast.
Oh, I'm a freelance audio documentarian.
Awesome, like podcasts and stuff?
Oh, please. Podcasts are verbal narcissism for ugly journalists.
The wave around rule in IndyCar is as unfair of an item that I've ever seen in racing. The IndyCar way of doing it just erased the hard work that Newgarden and Pagano did by trying to get the field further behind them in that first opening run of the race. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter. That's their disadvantage. They should pit and stay a lap down and then have to find another way to get back on the lead lap.
You might be one of the only people that don't like this, though.
I tell stories through sound.
His wife makes the money, I figured.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the RPM Podcast. I think it's safe to say that racing season is officially underway now that we got all of our local tracks up and running here in the state of New Jersey. We got a whole bunch of national stuff to talk about. Joining me today, Josh Matthews, Sam Ballard Jr., Nicholas Rendo, and I'm talking a little bit of a hurry because we're going to dive right into this after a fantastic weekend on all ends.
Rain-free.
But we're going to start with somebody who really has a lot on his racing resume. Assistant General Manager at New Egypt Speedway, content creator at RacersGuide.com, also a racing-related photographer, and a former racer himself. I'm, of course, talking about our friend Pete MacDonald. Pete, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
No, we appreciate you coming on with us. And, I mean, we're a very heavy Wall Stadium show just because that's what we're affiliated with. But we care greatly about all the tracks in the state of New Jersey, especially New Egypt, because to me, logistically, that's the closest dirt track. But also there's a lot of interest there. Now, you guys started your season a little bit early, hampered by the weather a little bit. Up till this point in the season, how have things been at New Egypt in your perspective?
Things have been a lot better this year as compared to years past. We totally restaffed the whole place over the winter. I mean, we cleaned house from everybody, race directors, flaggers, got rid of everybody, and pretty much hit the reboot button. Mm-hmm. So far, considering everybody's brand new with this, it's gone really good. The battle in Mother Nature a little bit, but that's a given. I mean, in a perfect world, it never rains on Saturday. Mm-hmm. But so far, so good. Really, really happy with things are going.
Now, from what I gather, and again, I'm not the most experienced person when it comes to dirt racing, but it seems like the ever-moving target is track preparation. And from what I've read from fans, competitors, so far this season, track conditions have been nearly perfect. Is that the same from somebody who's on the other end of the fence? You kind of see a little bit what goes on?
We stumbled onto something towards the end of last year, and we really hit on it, and it's so far so good. That's half the battle on dirt track stuff is getting your surface right. If you get your surface right, it seems like almost everybody's happy.
Now, one of the other things that New Egypt has, which, I know a couple of other racing venues in the area, especially the pavement tracks, don't, is you draw a couple of really big national shows. And I just saw this week on a website we're going to talk about soon, Racers Guide, that the World of Outlaw tickets for the race on May 23rd has just gone on sale.
Yes. That's a big one.
Yeah, how big of a deal is that race for you guys?
It's huge. I kind of, it's the one night a year where every eyes in the dirt track industry is on you. So you kind of want to make an impression.
Now, it's a Tuesday show, which you guys have a couple of, and I'm curious, from a local perspective, I know that us at Wall, we have a couple of requirements that we have to meet when we run our one Friday show a year, which happens to be Turkey Derby. Is there any kickback from the neighborhood when you guys have those Tuesday events, or are you allowed to just have business as usual like you're running a Saturday show?
Yeah, that's it. Just like a normal Saturday show. I think the only requirement we have with the town is we can't start before noon on a Sunday.
Okay, that makes sense. I can't wait for that World of Outlaw event. I'm coming back from Arizona that day, and my plane should land in time for me to get from Newark to New Egypt fast enough. I'm probably going to buy a ticket anyway just to be sure. But now, how much advanced preparation is it for a race like that? Is it different than what you would do to prepare for a Saturday show? Is there an outside influence from the World of Outlaws tour themselves, or are you guys pulling 16-hour days, leading up to that race?
A little bit of everything. It's we'll race on Saturday like normal, and Sunday we're actually going to have a mud hop and a demo derby.
Okay,
nice.
And then Monday they start loading it. They show up with their trailers late Monday night, early Monday evening or whatnot, and then Tuesday all day. It's just get there in the morning. I'll probably get there about 8 o'clock in the morning and leave about 1 o'clock the next morning.
That's wild.
So it's just getting tickets ready and all that, and they do have their people that travel and whatnot to help set up and break down and whatnot. So takes a little bit off of us, but it's a big night. I'm looking forward to it.
So, Pete, I got a question for you. For the listeners, for those who haven't been to the sprint event at New Egypt, which I have been, it's a fantastic event. Is there a different vibe at the racetrack when you walk in Tuesday morning?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is there a different vibe at the racetrack Tuesday morning?
Yeah. It's.
Does it feel more alive, more ready to go?
Yeah. It's kind of that heavyweight fight kind of feeling where you're walking in and you gotta be on.
Well, Pete, up to this point, you've got a couple Saturday shows in already.
Yep.
And you got a whole season of racing left to go. How are things shaking out on the competitive side? Is there a lot of interest involved in terms of participation? I know the Sprint Series has been gaining traction slowly ever since it was introduced to your regular racing curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from a distance, things seem like they're on a bit of an upswing for you guys.
Right. Yeah. On the competition side, it's slowly coming back. I mean, once you get a good service for the guys, that does a lot. That the new world will spread, and hey, they got their stuff together or whatnot. Let's go try. I mean, this past Saturday we had 29 modified, which is pretty good for these days. Our sportsman car counts are about the same as they were last year. I mean, we haven't had a street stock race yet, so we're trying to see where that's going to happen. And then the sprint car, it fluctuates. It goes good, it goes bad. It goes good, it goes bad. And anybody who knows anything about winning a sprint car race, when one of them gets upside down, it breaks. It breaks big. You know what I mean? But
it's kind of all or nothing, really.
Right.
Now, speaking of the wingless sprint car stuff, one of your drivers is a former Legend Car champion at Wall, Brian Spencer.
Yes.
And it got me thinking about drivers who are quite versatile in our area. I mean, some of them that come to mind right away, Jimmy Blewett, Ron Freese, even Andrew Krause, you could throw him in there.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Grosso recently, after having much success on dirt, went to pavement racing. And, of course, Stuart Friesen.
What about Lee Allen?
So you can count Lee Allen as well. Even though he spends a lot more time on dirt than he ever did pavement recently.
He's great for about 2 or 3 laps on asphalt. Then he forgets he's on asphalt, and then he starts driving it sideways. So,
but Pete, my question to you is, that versatility, is that something that you guys welcome and promote as well? I mean, to me, I'm fascinated by anybody who could switch services that quickly.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Billy Pouch for example. Billy Pouch won in everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Asphalt modified, sprint cars modified, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say real quick on the whole what you mentioned earlier with the town and the neighbors taking it well on Tuesdays. Actually, I know that some of the neighbors, especially directly across the street, are very happy because they can charge they charge for parking. You'll see the signs out.
Yeah, they do.
Actually, one of them, I believe, there's a bar I've gone to a few times, Houlihan's in Brick Township. One of their waiters or servers lives right across the street. And he was telling me, oh, yeah, I charge like $5-10 for parking, and it's great. And then otherwise, I'll go to work. So, then the other thing I wanted to ask, I just wanted to get your opinion real quick. I don't know if you've seen the replay of it yet. Most likely you have. That sportsman pileup on the opening lap at Grandview. Yeah,
that was gnarly.
Do you think that has anything to do with the unfortunate tag of being called a sportsman division?
No, I think that was just somebody who was in a hurry on lap 1.
Fair enough.
We're talking to Pete MacDonald, again, the assistant general manager at New Egypt Speedway, also a content creator at racersguide.com. And Pete, that's where I want to go next. Racers Guide is something that you guys have had up and running for a couple years now, and you continue to add exactly what your job title says, content to it. Now how did that all get started, the Racers Guide website?
Fred Walsing, who owns New Egypt Speedway, he started it probably early 2014, and it really wasn't going anywhere. And I was hanging out in New Egypt taking pictures every week, and he says, "Hey, can you run this thing for me?" I said, "Absolutely." And then it started to snowball, and then now we got a lot of great people. I got an awesome team that I couldn't do it without them, to be honest with you.
Now, you mentioned your team. You guys also have a YouTube channel up and running, which includes race highlights and a whole bunch of other stuff and driver interviews. What's the long-term objective for Racers Guide?
We want it to be a one-stop shopping for racing. You go on there, there's a track locator on there, driver directory on there. Say you're going somewhere in Iowa and you want to check it out and see if there's a racetrack where you're going. You can look that up. You can look for a hotel. All that cool stuff you can find out on Racers Guide.
That's really unique. Now, you mentioned, if somebody goes to a track like in Iowa, so to say. Now, you travel around a lot, some for leisure, a lot of it for the photography work.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything big circled on your calendar for 2017 as of yet?
There's a couple. I mean, last year I got to go to the truck race at Eldora. That was pretty cool.
That was really
That
cool.
was if I can make that again, I'm going to do that.
Some bucket list stuff
Global,
right there. That's awesome.
Global Rallycross in Atlantic City. That's probably my number one favorite event I get to go to every year.
Oh, really? That's
the
actually
Red Bull
unique.
Roll.
As long as we hear about it.
Yeah, you knew it was
this year.
going on last year?
we did not find out until I think we were recording that Wednesday, and Sam was scrolling through something and said, "Oh wait, Global Rallycross in Atlantic City this weekend."
The cool part, one of the funny parts not a lot of people know about that is USAC sanctions that.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
USAC sanctions this Global Rallycross, and when they came through in like June or something, I found out about it, and right away it went right on the calendar.
Wow.
That's pretty cool stuff.
I didn't know that either. And Pete, since you mentioned the truck race at Eldora, it's actually, believe it or not, it's a talking topic, which we probably discuss a little bit too much for a race that only happens once a year. I mean, you're involved in a dirt track every Saturday. Obviously, the product with the NASCAR trucks at Eldora is different than what you would see at New Egypt on a Saturday night. What do you think about that event? Is it good as a one-off? Should there be more dirt races in the stock car worlds? You've seen it up front, in person.
There should always be more dirt races, I think. But it's cool that like last year, you take what NASCAR is, the spectacle NASCAR is.
Mm-hmm.
Some people may not agree with that, but take what NASCAR is, and then you add like your Saturday night dirt track mentality to it. It's such a huge deal. It's such a cool deal. I think everybody needs to experience it.
So, Pete, would you like to see a Monster Cup race on dirt?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that'd be a home run.
I don't think it's a bad idea. I just don't want to see it at Eldora.
Maybe they'll bring it to New Egypt.
NASCAR's
listening.
I think that would be a better show.
We got Pete's phone number.
Well, all the heads at NASCAR are listening. Of course.
Right.
Now, Pete,
I think Knoxville would probably be the perfect place for it.
Yeah, that's been a lot of the rumbling to try to get another truck race up and running is perhaps if they went to Knoxville for it, and I think that'd be cool to see.
I mean, they got seating capacity, they got it all.
Mm-hmm. Now, Pete, you wear a lot of different hats. You also put the camera on the shoulders every now and then, and
when I can.
Yeah, there's one picture that stands out. Of course, it's your default picture on Facebook that I happen to notice, and it's somebody capturing an image of you taking a picture of the late Brian Clausen. This may be a given, and even though the picture has you in it, but I'm curious if you have the original and if that is in fact your favorite shot, and if not, then do you have one that sticks out to you?
That means a lot to me. Brian was a badass.
Mm-hmm. Brian
was such a good guy. The guys from Loud Pedal, it was from the highlight video from the USAC Eastern Storm last year. But yeah, I got the screen grab of it, printed it out, and hanging out in my office. But favorite picture I've ever took, I got the night John Blewett was killed in Thompson. I got him and Jimmy walking arm in arm.
Wow.
That might be one of my favorites. And then the next probably was Turkey Derby 2008 when Jimmy slid Matt Hirschman when he put two wheels on the apron. I thought that was pretty cool.
I remember sitting in turn one for that one. That was amazing. Amazing.
Hero versus villain, yeah.
I'd like to see that picture one day if you still have it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's actually on my Instagram.
This Saturday night, looks like you guys got 358 modifieds, crate modifieds, street stocks, as you mentioned. You guys excited? Are you at that point where everything's in full swing and it's business as usual, or you still get butterflies every time you show up to work on Saturday?
No, it's pretty much business as usual now. What a lot of people don't realize is how much it takes to run a racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Once the cars are on the racetrack, that's the easy part. But then there's the payroll and the ordering of the food and all sorts of that fun stuff. Which a lot of people don't realize what goes on during the week.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts and pieces, and I mean, Sam, you and I, we share different roles at our track, and
we
don't really see a lot of that stuff, and I don't know, maybe I take it for granted sometimes.
Oh, definitely, I would not be able to do what Pete does.
I wouldn't either. Pete,
and especially this year, we swapped the whole menu out. Like I said, this year we just hit the reboot button. We got a new menu, we got better food, we got new people, so it's going in the direction it needs to go because we need to fill the place pretty much from now on. You know what I mean? It's, of course, every racetrack needs to fill the place, but now it's like, we want to show people what we've done.
We don't need Bowman Gray, though. we can
I
take
love
a few. Well, I'll take all the people from Bowman Gray, put them in all the New Jersey tracks, and the world would be a better place.
Bowman Gray, that's a monster of its own, man. That place is unreal, too.
Yeah.
This is true. Pete, pleasure talking to you. I'm looking forward to seeing you, hopefully on May 23rd when the World of Outlaws come to
I'll be
town.
there.
And
Can't wait.
again, NewEgyptSpeedway.net. Also, check out RacersGuide.com to see everything that Pete has going on. And you can also find him on Facebook as well. Pete, I thank you a bunch for coming on with us, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you a little bit more often.
Definitely. Anytime you guys need somebody talking about sprint cars or something, I'm all in. I'd love to do it.
Perfect. Once again, Pete MacDonald, Assistant General Manager at New Egypt Speedway, also a content creator at RacersGuide.com. Pete, thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.
No problem, guys. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
Too.
Great talking to a guy like that. And, we were just talking a few weeks ago how all the short tracks in the state of New Jersey they're important to us, but we don't have our roots planted at tracks like New Egypt or Bridgeport. And for a place like, New Egypt Speedway, which does quite well for themselves for a dirt track, it's nice to have somebody who's on that side of the fence to give us a little bit of insight, especially somebody who's as versatile as Pete is.
Well, it's fantastic to see also that, like you said, Pete has the talent and the ability to do it, and we need more people like Pete to actually want to do it. I think, me personally, I see so much wasted talent now of people saying, well, this should be done, this should be done. Well, if you think it should be done another way, then do it.
Right.
It is
Then
hard
do
to
it.
convince people sometimes because, think about this show alone. Not that, we're reaching tens of people, but everything.
We're in the hundreds. We are. Don't tell us too short. The sponsors are going to get angry.
All right.
They're going to think we sold them a false bill of goods.
But how would we do it as a one-man show? I mean, think about everything that we have to go through between setup, organization, all that. I don't know how Tim Califamo does it with his NASCAR
Well,
show.
I'll tell you what. I mean, since we're still in the local segment, right?
Right. We're going to roll
Since we're
straight
still
through.
with the local segment, I know you two guys weren't at Wall Stadium this past Saturday night, but
Josh and Nick.
yes,
I was
But
definitely there.
What a venue! I mean, there
Nobody
were
noticed.
an incredible car count and a crowd for opening night at Wall Stadium Speedway.
I saw some great reviews about the fan fest that they had, where people meeting, talking to the drivers. Everything seemed to be right.
And I'll tell you what, Josh, I was there early before the Fan Fest started, and I was one of the last guys
Did
to
anybody
leave.
try to run you over as they were bringing their cars down?
No,
for the fan fest?
I didn't think of you at all when it came on Saturday. But what I was going to say is everyone that came there on Saturday, they were happy they were there, and I think most of them left happy.
Yeah.
Driver-wise, crew-wise, and the fan-wise. Wall Stadium had a fantastic night.
Well, and I'll tell you, I think, you hate a rain out, right?
Mm.
I mean, nobody likes a rain out ever, whether it's in April, July, or September. You're never going to love a rain out. I really think that the weather affecting the scheduled opening night made a lot of people kind of appreciate being at the track a little bit more. Perhaps the nerves were still there. The tension was still there. I mean, the racing product kind of proved that because it was exciting from start to finish. But people just seem generically happy to be there. And, I mean, that kind of wanes off as the year goes on. And the pressures of racing every week kind of starts to get to people.
But I mean, think about what Wall dealt with on Saturday night, and I know because obviously I was there, and you were there as well, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
The guardrail was destroyed in turn one, and they did a fantastic job. I mean, I'll tell you what. Though I know all of them, the Wall Stadium track crew, they're a great group of guys, and they do kick ass.
Yeah.
I heard
since
they-
Pete said it.
You had a car like halfway through the wall, essentially.
It was modified rookie Tom Catanzaro who bounced off of two other cars, and it kind of put him head-on to the fence. Probably one of the hardest head-on hits we've had
Oh, the
in a
car
long
stopped.
time.
It
And
stopped.
I mean, and
the guardrail did its job, though.
Yes.
that's the thing. And here I got into it with somebody on this. Well, I didn't really get into it. You know what? We're in the business of reporting, so I'm just going to do it. Jamie Tomeno posed a question about, is it time that the track considers removing the guardrail? And I'll tell you, from every driver that I've talked to personally, they think the guardrail is the best thing for a track like Wall, a track that small, that fast, that steeply banked.
It gives a little bit.
Well, yeah, the fact that the guardrail split in the fashion in which it did is probably what kept Tom Catanzaro in one piece. To be quite honest with you. And I know that it cost all of us, some time, but it gave drivers a chance to mingle on
read
the
something
track.
about like a half-hour repair. I mean, that's all
It really was
took.
not that long. In fact, by the
That's
time
not bad at all, considering if you saw the image of the wreck. I mean, they did a hell of a job to get that back together in a half hour.
Right. Just to give you a little inside perspective, so when we pretty much did all of our housekeeping in terms of the announcing, where, Earl Krause, Gary Larson, Jeff Gravatt, and I kind of rehashed a lot of what was happening that night, previewed what was happening the week ahead, and then we went silent for a little bit. And it got to a point where we realized, this delay may take a little while. So Eric Graham suggested that I go down trackside and talk to a couple drivers. So I thought I was going to be making a reverse lap around the track and talking to a lot of the guys. You remember the 2012 Daytona 500? Was it 2012 when Montoya hit the jet dryer?
Yeah,
And all the drivers were out of the car on the
Yeah.
backstretch? That's what happened. A lot of guys got out of their car. They were talking. Eric Moriello and Jimmy were having
I
got
to make fun of him real quick. Blake Barney had to run out of the car because he had to take a pee.
I didn't know
He
that.
ran right up
I
the
had-
ramp.
I had no clue.
And I'm making fun of you, Blake, because you make fun of me all the time.
But I thought
Sorry, he's gonna get even with you on Sunday.
Yeah, he will.
I thought we
He
were
will.
going to start to talk to every driver there, so I started at the front. I was going to move my way on to Moriello in second, just keep going on down the line. I finished up the interview with Jimmy, and they're waving, get back in the cars. I was like, really? That's it? Like, that's all we're going to get done? And the racing continued, and it was so fast. And I credit race director Larry Reed for having a game plan in place. When that happens, trucks roll. Once we know the driver's okay, then they attack the track. And it got done relatively quickly.
And not even only that, the product off the track, which the track crew and the guys that maintain the track, I'm sure Pete would have agreed, is what makes the track run
Right.
so
From Linus
well.
to Welder, all the way down to all the members of the track.
Yeah.
Crew. It's it's a team effort, and they got it in.
But the product on the track was incredible,
Oh yeah. Now,
especially the modify race.
before I get to that, though, I do want to put a bow on New Egypt really quick because we did not happen to mention who won the event.
Oh, my apologies.
So no, this one falls on me most likely.
That
But
was Pete's job.
Billy Pouch Jr., Ryan Godown got the 358 modified wins. Also, Godown got the Northeast Wingless Sprint Car win there as well. The aforementioned Brian Spencer finished 10th, we were talking about it earlier, and TJ Lilly won the 20-lap sportsman feature. And in the rookie sportsman feature, Dave Burns got the win there as well. So now on the Wall Stadium side of the fence, people complained about the fact that the race started heads up to time trials. I think that's the best way to do it. Now, I love time trials.
Well, there's a lot
probably-
more that goes involved than just that, Eric Brennan.
I know, but I love time trials. I'm not gonna. Now, I don't.
I hate you so much right now.
Why?
I can't time trial worth a damn.
Well,
All
see,
right.
this is where it is, because you want to know what? As not a race car driver, as Sam Ballard is not a race car driver, I agree with you, Eric. I enjoy watching time trials. I probably going to get a lot of
God,
kickback
you
because
also
of
like
that.
watching the NFL
Okay.
draft and the Barrett Jackson auto auctions?
Barrett
Oh,
Jackson.
Here's another one.
Yes, the draft. I could give or
Meekum,
take.
Barrett Jackson,
Yeah.
Buddy Long, and I will go.
Okay.
with that.
Here's a great example. Group qualifying for the Cup cars at the Super Speedway. A lot of people thought it was unfair, especially for Daytona 500, right? Because you're at the mercy of the
No.
aerodynamics and where you end up, and there's no real performance
Group
advantage.
qualifying is the best way to do it at the super speedways.
But there's not a definitive. There's no definitive proof that the best team was the fastest when it mattered.
But Danica Patrick won the pole at Daytona the one time. Didn't mean she was going to.
That wasn't for group qualifying, though.
No, that was
it?
single
That
car
was
qualifying.
But that's what I'm saying. He's like, great. She was the fastest car
Right.
at that point.
I
but
think
it does nothing for the actual race product.
She had
No,
like
but I
4
think
laps.
that single car qualifying shows what team did their homework, did their research in the offseason.
It doesn't matter at a plate
Well,
track.
anyway, regardless, we ran qualifying at Wall.
Mm-hmm.
They started straight up because it was the first race of the year, no handicapping or anything involved because there's no points.
Right.
And it was a great race. It was a fantastic race between the top 5.
And I mean, a lot of people thought there was going to be some shenanigans between Blewett and Moriello, who
Yes.
are driving for Team Outlaw this season. In fact, Eric is still under the operation that he may only get to drive a part-time schedule. He wants to run full-time.
And you could
he just
totally
doesn't know if
tell
it's there.
he was out there just
I mean,
laying it on the line.
at one point, him and Jimmy got together, and that 09 car, Moriello, got up on the guardrail. I mean, like, I'm talking right front tire off the ground into the
Herbie.
guardrail. Yes. I mean, it was good stuff. And Andrew Krause, who finished third, he was, and this has been since he ever strapped into a modified, not afraid to get up in that second groove at all. And he's one of the most
He's like the
successful
Kyle
guys I think in the
Larson
modern
Wall.
era.
Very few guys will do it, and I give
fast.
so much credit to the
He
guys
was
that
hauling
actually do.
ass on the outside.
And he gets it done.
He does.
And I don't know how. And you're so vulnerable up there because all it takes is a little bit of contact to that left front wheel, and you're gone. And
I'm not saying it's not risky, but
Got to risk it for the biscuit.
I heard that somewhere else today, and I don't know where. Rest of the top 5. So Stephen Reed, our 2-time defending champion, also friend of the RPM podcast.
Hi, Steve.
I promise you T-shirts on the way, bro. He finished 4th. And Shannon Monjo, after that Steve Ferrari team moved up to a modified, they debuted their season in 5th. Great race overall. Absolutely great race overall.
The cars were time was at 12.2 was the fastest Paul. I think 12.2 something.
Which is like
something.
Turkey Derby times.
Yes.
You know.
So these guys came out and they came out to perform, which is fantastic to see.
And then we had a tie in time trials, I think, between Trevor Alsbach and Shannon Monjo, if my memory serves me correctly, down to the 1,000th of a second. And because it's not usually it reverts back to points, this is actually interesting. Usually the tiebreaker goes back to points. Because there's no points to go off of, they actually had to go to the second lap of their time trial run, and that was where Trevor got the nod by 12 thousandths of a second. So that's how tight those two cars were for those 2 laps.
And I'm sure neither driver thought, hey, I should run quicker on my second lap because I'm going to tie with somebody, and that's going to be where it matters.
Really strange. Really, really strange. Speaking of strange, the sportsman feature started off spectacularly. Like from the green flag all the way through.
Like Grandview spectacularly, or
no, it was just good, hard, clean racing, and then they just hit a rut where things just got out of control. And actually, before we get too far into that, I really want to send best well wishes to both Kenny Green and Nick Shaw. For Kenny Green, that's something that he's been working on. I got to talk to him at the on-track party, and he had a hard wreck at Turkey Derby. It was Turkey Derby or Spooky Spectacular? I believe it was Turkey Derby on Friday, where the car got up on the backstretch guardrail. And got the car rebuilt, was looking forward to this year. Sounds like he might have tweaked the wrist. And then Nick Shaw, who probably had his best opportunity at a full-time gig in quite some time, also got caught up in somebody else's mess. And, as of right now, it looks like he may be out for a little while. And you hate to see that because he's really one of those guys who helps everybody.
Yes.
Like, absolutely everybody. Like, I don't even drive a race car. And if I asked him for advice, he would stop, take time out of his day to tell me what I could do better to someday drive a race car or if I ever drive a race car. So, Nick and Kenny, also happy birthday, Kenny. We hope that you guys rest up and get back in the car soon because they're 2 really talented race car drivers, and that's 2 guys out of a 18-car field that really had a really super unfortunate day in the sportsman race, which was won by former champion Kevin Davison over Robbie Walton, who the sportsman cars also time trialed. Walton couldn't even get that car up to speed because he was having mechanical trouble with it. So second place finish for him was great. Jonathan LeRae incredibly improved, finished 3rd. Mike Carr, veteran racer, returning. And sportsman rookie Kyle Sisko rounded out the top 5.
That's actually, he qualified 3rd?
Sisko did?
No.
Or
Laurie.
LeRae was up there. I don't know where he qualified. I'd have to check that.
Or he finished 3rd.
Yeah, 5th.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool. I actually saw him Saturday early afternoon at the Manahawk and Touch a Truck event, where I also got a small checkered flag from RC2U, portable
Very nice.
RC racing. My son got up and I talked to Dan for a few minutes, and I can't tell if Sam is crying or
I lost the contact.
Gone?
Sure.
Like, just
Yeah.
You're not driving home.
Anyway, so I was talking to Dan for a few minutes, and then my son wanted to do one of the races, so we got in line. When it was his turn. We lapped the entire field like twice. I may have helped him a little, but
cheater.
Too bad you can't do that at Wall.
yeah.
Detect this guy.
But it was a really cool setup. A lot of people came out. It was a lot of fun. So I just wanted to mention that and thank LeRae for bringing his car out, putting on display for that. He had kids climbing in and out of the car, checking it out. He did have to check out a little bit early, obviously, to make it there in time trial.
Yeah, that is true.
So, yeah, I just wanted to put that out there.
Also, the TQs made their second stop of the year. Not at Wall. First stop of the year, obviously, at Wall because it was essentially opening night. But it was their second stop of the year in terms of their season. They opened up their season.
No offense to everyone else at Wall, all the drivers, and please don't take offense to this. I love the TQ drivers.
4 wide salute to the fans.
Not only that, but just in the pits, they know what they're doing. Billy Bryce is back. Doing his thing with them, and they're just a bunch of, not saying that everyone else is, but they're just a good group of guys because I physically see them when they're strapped in the cars.
Yeah.
Buddy Slode's a knucklehead.
Well, he won the opener for the TQ division, and he was racing hard with a friend of the show and also a friend of me, Joey Bailey. And Bailey looked to be in a really good spot, and then him and Slode made slight contact. Bailey got the short end of the stick and ended up getting turned around. Unfortunately for Bailey, he didn't even make it back up to the top 10. He finished 11th, and Slode went on to win his second race in a row to kick off the season. Kind of reminds you of what Matt Janish did a year ago in the ATQ-MRA. Now, Slode in Victory Lane he apologized for the contact with Joey Bailey. Rob Pavona finished second, Matt Roselli third, but I think one of the most impressive drivers to watch was young Cole Mullen, who made his TQ debut, racing with his father, Ronnie Mullen. Ronnie
really
finished
cool to
9th,
see.
Cole finished 13th, but it's cool to see those two come up. Ronnie's been racing at Wall forever. But that race itself was spectacular. And then the rest of the divisions in the factory stock, Scott Riggleman got the season opener win there. Legend car, Kevin Nowak, visiting driver from Long Island. It was a Long Island 1-2 with Richie Davidowitz finishing second. They got the Legend car victory. The champion, Todd Pilla, got the win in the four-cylinder, said he may not be back until June.
He won't be back till June.
And Brian Doyle snapped a over 1-year winless streak, winning the limited late model feature, holding off a very hard-charging Cole Ormsby at the checkered flag. It was a great night. Great night.
The stupid grin on your face right now.
Oh,
I know.
I was back
It's
home, man.
true.
I mean, that's, you go through the whole off season, and sometimes life gets in the way and things happen. You're just like, man, I just want to get back to the race.
On a personal note, I told Nick Rendo this before we got here. I felt like $1 million walking through that pits
Yeah,
on
it's just
Saturday. I felt so great to be back, and it's incredible to experience it.
And it's like, for me, it's like, I mean, I've been out of high school for 9 years. I'm dating myself here. But, like, high school was awesome because you walk through the hallway and you know everybody. And I mean, back then, you call shaking hands, giving pounds. It's like,
All right, can we end this
I'm
segment?
just saying. So, like, you're walking through the pit area and saying hi to everybody.
Pounding on
and
my
it's like,
friends.
And it's like you're just home. You're back home. And then when the races are out, you go to your favorite watering hole and you talk about the night's races and you learn stuff that you didn't know happened. I mean, it's a lifestyle. I can't explain to my friends back in Staten Island how much of a lifestyle. It's not an event. It's a way of life, and I love it. And I hope to see you all there this Saturday.
I got a selfie with Warren. My life has been made.
Yeah. You look good in that picture too.
It really has. I'm serious, Warren. I know you listen to the show. If you ever want to be happy, take a picture, and he'll do it with you. Warren Alston. You can't miss him. He's always running around. He really is. He really is.
You
Great
go
guy.
Go to wallspeedwayracing.com for a full schedule of events. It's going to be a Cinco de Mayo fiesta this weekend, which is great.
Yes, I saw the sign as I passed it on 34 today, right before I texted Sam to let him know I was getting on the Parkway.
Yeah, because I'm scheduled to do a
Where
double
we had
Friday.
our own little RPM podcast race.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Nick lost, by the way.
I think I lost.
I lost because I'm here.
I was late again, folks. No surprises. Senior Champ carts are scheduled to have a race in the inner track. They're a blast. TQ is supposed to be back as well. NX Legend cars, modifieds, factory stocks, and sportsmen all running cone races.
Yay!
And you want to know what? I'm going to say this. We should have Pete on the show every week for the local segment because he brings a lot about New Egypt.
Oh,
one
yeah.
of the dirt
Well, and
tracks.
we're also, I mean, listen, we're also looking for somebody for Bridgeport to try to time in because I understand that it's the local element of the show which really draws a lot of people. And if you're not familiar with the format of the show, the national stuff is there, A, for discussion, and B, to help us scale if this thing kind of takes off a little bit, which I think it might.
But we're all about the local
Yeah,
guys.
it's hard to get people in Ireland to listen if we only talk about Wall and Bridgeport.
Well, they must like Calvin Klein because Nick Rendo has really kept that Ireland listener like in the loop lately.
He is my man. I love that guy. He's
if it's
awesome.
a man.
Who says? Yeah, but who says he?
Ooh.
But as
You're a
Brennan
pretty
said,
good-looking kid.
as Eric said, the local segment is really our main
Our bread
draw,
and butter.
which is why we expect to see all of you at the chapter house this Sunday for the Talladega party.
T-shirts.
Yeah, we're gonna
Beers,
try to play some
wings.
games. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'm talking about Josh.
No, you could be. I was
Hold on. What the hell does that mean?
I'm not going to explain it.
Okay.
PG here.
Anyway, yeah. So I think we're gonna do pretty much the same setup we had for the Daytona party. What are the details on the whole pig roast, cars on display? Just everybody having a good time. There's no pressure. Just hang out. You can interact with us. We're gonna hopefully do some more interviews. Well, really, Brennan's gonna do those because I suck at the interviews. And just a lot of fun.
We'll all be involved a little bit. And I'll tell you, the what we did for the Daytona 500, it all came together rather quickly. And there are even a couple of interviews that were thrown at us with people who we obviously knew, but you didn't know enough, which it made it all the more
Not Chris
special.
Garback.
So yes, exactly.
That was last minute, and we still have his hero card up on the wall here.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll tell you what, local segment we're talking about him. Chris is a wheelman, man.
Yeah.
And he's honest. So he apologized to one of the drivers, I guess he unfortunately got together with on Facebook. I don't know what driver would publicly apologize like that on social media.
I saw that, actually.
I have.
Chris is a great dude.
Sorry, Ronnie.
Any of our sponsors are looking at sponsoring a great guy. Chris, go hit Chris up, man. Great guy.
Yeah.
Everybody is, though.
But this will, in fact, be at the Chapter House with a free pig roast and race party. This will be starting around 1 p.m. The RPM podcast will bring you up to the green flag, which will probably be about 2 p.m. Eastern time. Hopefully, we'll have things there. We tried to live stream the Daytona 500 show to try to pull some people there. We may do that as well, but the whole point of that is try to get you to come on out and hang out with us.
Yep.
We're lonely.
And again, if you want us to come on, if you want to come on down and maybe we get a chance to talk to you, we could kind of sell your sponsors a little bit, show them you're getting some notoriety.
We do kid parties.
Yeah, I can dress up as Barney the dinosaur. I mean, like whatever you guys need.
Bounce houses, the works.
And there'll be drinks involved, so it's guaranteed to be fun.
Oh yes, I'm waiting for you and Gary to call the last couple laps, like the last 5-10 laps.
If Gary's up for it, I'll do it.
I think Gary's going to be up for it, and you damn well better be up for it.
Gary would probably be up for Russian roulette if he stayed there.
Make
till
me
6
proud,
o'clock.
boy.
So
what time are we actually going to start? You want to start at noon again?
So
around noon.
we'll probably start setting up at 12. I mean, the Flyers' party starts at 1, so we'll roll at 1. We'll be good. I can't wait. I'm pumped. Got Wall Saturday, Chapter House Sunday. My week is set.
Nap on Monday.
Oh, you got trivia tomorrow?
Trivia tomorrow. Double on Friday. I can't celebrate Cinco de Mayo Friday, so I'm going to have to do it at Wall on Saturday. So I'm pumped.
Oh, gosh.
I'm pumped. Wear my sombrero.
Some of us work at Wall,
Yeah, no. I'll be there.
I know Tim O'Shea is
I'm
going to be
saving the
wearing his
Coronas for
sombrero.
after.
Still can't believe I'm going to be there.
Cinco de Mayo, baby.
I'm ready, man. Let's do it.
God.
Oh, boy.
So, I don't know where else to go with this, except for the fact that, for everyone who wanted local stuff first, there you go. So maybe
You could turn us off now.
no,
We'll see you
don't
next
do
week.
that. How dare you? When we come back,
We got some Formula One coming up, so where my Europeans at? I want you to stick around
We'll
for
get to
the
the
next segment.
Botas of
So I'm going to
this.
make it worth your while.
Vladimir Putin was in the house in Sochi.
So we're snipers.
So we're snipers.
So we're
Nick Rendo, my
snipers.
dude.
A lot of people were not in the house at Richmond, but I thought it was a great race. We'll talk about that briefly as well.
And Phoenix.
And IndyCar at Phoenix, along with the Fernando Alonso test today.
There was a race at
which is
Phoenix?
rather
Beautiful helmet he has going on there.
interesting. One more final thank you to Pete MacDonald from the Egypt Speedway Racers Guide. We hope to have him on more often.
Go check out Racer's Guide.
We're going to take a break. We come back to the RPM podcast, talk about all that other good stuff and a whole bunch more. Don't go anywhere.
Go to Wall.
All right, this is Eric Graham from the RPM Podcast. Josh and Eric Brennan won't leave me alone until I do one of these read things. So, follow us at Facebook. Either search RPM Podcast, go to facebook.com/Racing Podcast New Jersey. Hopefully this sounds freaking organic enough for Josh because he won't leave me the hell alone about it. But here's your read. Follow us on Facebook. Do it now.
Little Limp Biscuit and welcome back to the RPM podcast. Sorry, I was getting my M&M on. Josh Matthews, Sam Ballard Jr. I'm going to call him Ray for the rest of the episode. Nick Rendo.
Why not Stevie Wonder?
And one more final thank you to Pete MacDonald, who was joining us in that first segment. And we're going to kind of scramble the pot just a little bit further. And instead of talking about the big boxcar stuff, we're going to go right to the open wheel stuff.
Boxcar? Really?
Yeah. Why?
The fenderless stuff, Josh.
The boxcar children?
Now, I did watch the entire Fernando Alonso test, but before we do that, Nicholas Rendo, are you ready to talk about Sochi? Are you ready?
How
Are
did
you
we
ready for
do?
this?
Oh, I'm ready for this.
Yeah, you're not as amped as you've been
And
for
why-
the last two.
Why is that, Eric?
Because Ferrari finished second.
All right. Real non-biased stuff. Really quick on that, though. I just want to say for the first 4 races, the worst, we have finished as second, and that's how you win a championship. But, so
Didn't
we,
Kimi Räikkönen finish third?
we started off the weekend
He
with
did.
qualifying was great.
This is
Ferrari's
fake news.
first front row start since I believe 2008, which is pretty
How's
wild. The
bragging
Mercedes
camp going?
locked out the second row. It's going to end on Sunday, don't worry. Yeah, so that was pretty wild to see. I think we had a Red Bull that was a little bit behind in qualifying, so that was
I only
different.
got a beer right now. So.
But then when we got to the race, Valtteri Bottas got a ridiculous start from third. Not a good qualifying for session for Lewis, by the way, qualifying fourth.
Yeah.
But Valtteri, by first turn, already had the lead. And Sochi's a track that's synonymous for not really having a lot of passing. So he I don't want to say ran away with it because Seb definitely gave him a run for his money, especially with the closing 10 laps. They came across the line with 6 tenths between them, which I want to say is the second time that happened this year. Pretty much every race has pretty much had the two drivers cross the line within a few seconds of each other, which has been incredible. But in Bahrain especially, there was another chase. So it's really, really exciting to see that these finishes are coming down to the wire. And you got to agree with me there, Josh.
How is the overall
pretty
passing
good
in this race?
I think it's been great the last...
No.
two-
In Sochi.
Oh, in Sochi? Terrible. But,
Okay.
I mean, it is like that all the time, as Melbourne was. But I'm going to go
So
out...
couldn't they just go to tracks that don't suck?
So my thing is, I'm going to say that tracks that already have passing, I really believe that the new generation car has actually made those more exciting. And maybe there hasn't been more passing, but the passings that are happening are more exciting to watch. And the tracks that didn't have any passing, I mean, this new package certainly isn't helping that. At all. So that's been interesting. But Bottas ends up coming home with the win, and it was very weird to see Lewis.
Would you have bet on Bottas getting a win?
No, I actually said on the RPM podcast that he wouldn't get the pole, so I'm glad that I'm still okay with that one.
Yeah, you're okay. That's exactly
good with
why
that one, but
his prediction was on.
never.
So.
I would definitely never saw this
But
coming.
no,
Nobody
but-
did. Which is it was good for him. I mean, it's very very hard to get your first win, and
Would
four-time
you
champion
equate
put him
that
under a lot
to-
of pressure to get it, and he held through. I mean, he's finished though, so they're usually able to hold it together.
But would you kind of put Bottas's win almost? How would you relate that to Barrichello's win?
Which one are you talking about?
That wet to dry. He stayed on the inters, but he had to keep running through the puddles.
Is this Malaysia or something? Back in
it
the
was-
Ferrari years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I would say that
I
he
mean,
might as
you
well have
never
rolled
would've-
the dice because he wasn't allowed to finish in front of Michael Schumacher anyway.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
Yeah.
nobody expected that,
Right.
and you're saying that you wouldn't
Yeah.
have expected Bottas to get a win.
That's pretty
and
cool.
Here he has done it
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Would you?
I would compare it to Max Verstappen on his first race with Red Bull, winning in Barcelona, which is where they're going to be next week.
Okay.
I would compare it to that. Pastor Maldonado's win, certainly, with Fernando Alonso closing the gap. I believe that was in China or Malaysia, I want to say.
Right.
2013, I believe it was, or 2012 Barcelona. 2012 Barcelona. So I would compare it to that, just like these definitely one-off wins. But, it's not a one-off win. He's in a great car.
Well, yeah,
He's a great
but-
driver. And I think everyone is surprised to
Wait,
see
you're
how he
saying
holds
it-
his own to Lewis Hamilton.
It-
No
it-
one saw this coming.
He's a great driver and all that, but you
Yeah.
you don't think he can get another pole? Now, I mean, outside.
I didn't think he'd get another pole at Sochi. I didn't think he'd be able to outqualify Lewis, and he did that. So that was pretty incredible. And for Lewis, I mean, he qualified fourth and stayed fourth the whole race. He did have some, overheating problems, but all in all, it was a pretty lackluster race for Lewis, which we usually don't see. So that was pretty wild to see.
Lackluster race for Lewis.
It was.
Very
Definitely
impressive.
was.
That's
Say
a very
that
impressive
5 times
sentence.
So yeah, all in all, I'm not even gonna lie to my Europeans out there. It wasn't a great Formula One race, but Sochi never really
But
is.
you want to know what? I'm going to disagree with you. I think the finish was more. The finish was more drama that you see. There was more drama at the end of that F1 race than you see on TV, because it got to the point where Bottas was catching lap traffic,
Yep.
and at the end, the lap traffic was going to be a factor of the race, and it was.
Definitely was. A lot of people are just, throwing the blame at Felipe, and now this is coming from a Ferrari and a Sebastian Vettel fan here. A lot of people are throwing the blame on Felipe, saying he cost them the race. It's not true. I mean, he was behind his, diffuser or whatever within like 1.2 seconds for the last 10 laps. Yeah, he finally got in the DRS zone, but the fact of the matter is the Mercedes is still faster down the backstretch anyway. And not only that, Bottas had DRS also from the lap car in front of him. So, I mean, this is coming from a Ferrari fan. They beat us.
Overall,
Yeah.
the race was average.
Yeah.
For Sochi,
It wasn't great.
but the
it
finish
wasn't
was
bad.
pretty good. I turned Sochi on with about 10 laps to go, and I stayed tuned to watch it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean...
Because there
Vladimir
was a
Putin
point
on
with
the
like
podium.
3 or 4 laps to go. There was a point with 3 or 4 laps to go that I thought Vettel was actually going to catch and give Bottas a run for his first win.
Now, I have a question, and it's aimed for Nick. When Vettel was within
Just take my
DRS
headset
range... No, because I want to kind of touch on that. Is DRS effective if you're the race leader and you're catching lap traffic?
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
They should do away with that.
You're right. It defeats the purpose
Because
of
I
it.
saw the winglet
Why do I
open
feel
on
an
Bottas's
IndyCar rant
car,
coming on?
and it's coming. But I saw the winglet open on Bottas's car, and I'm like, man, he's like, what the hell? Like that
Yeah.
defeats the purpose of
It
Vettel
does.
trying to
It
close.
definitely does.
You know, and then
It
plus,
does. Unfortunately, there's no rule though. It's just the 1 second in front of the car in front of you.
Bernie,
But, yeah.
or who's Zach
it's
Brown?
Like,
I
guy
don't
with
know
a
who's
crazy
that now.
mustache.
Like I don't
Zach
know.
Brown.
I don't know.
No, that's the guy who's helping out IndyCar.
Little
They got the
chicken
Alonso
fry.
thing to happen.
He's got a
my
crazy
God.
mustache, whoever he is.
But the point being, I thought it was a great event, and Sochi is a beautiful track.
Gorgeous. It's
I
the
mean,
Olympic Park.
it's
That
incredible.
one turn is incredible. It's half a circle.
Yeah.
However many degree, 180. The 180 degree
Yes.
turn.
like Mexico.
Full
has it.
throttle.
Yeah,
Incredible.
and I'm probably the most
Incredible.
American guy you're ever gonna meet, and
that
I'd
was
say
all,
the
like
Russians
Sebastian Vettel
performed
really
a
showed
great
some
racetrack.
talent. I mean, he went right into that right-hander, one hand on the wheel, the other one, finger high at Felipe, and I'm like, wow, that's incredible. He's hitting the curb, one hand, still shifting, easily onto the throttle, no like turbo lag.
Well,
nothing, set the car
that's because
sideways.
Vettel has practice flipping
incredible.
off people
Yeah.
and doing it well.
No, definitely.
So practice
I
makes
was
perfect.
kind of hoping he raised a different finger at the end of that race, but that's okay because I'm just going to prep our listeners really quick because in a week and a half it's going to be. Well, I guess we can do this next week too, but what the hell? We're going to be in Spain, Barcelona. Shakira lives there. It's going to be awesome. She might even be the musical guest. Maybe wouldn't that be amazing? But anyways, I really think that
You don't want Paris Hilton?
no, she does sing. I heard right.
I don't know.
I think she does. But I really think I think it's going to be a great race because Mercedes is usually faster in the straight line in those really fast corners, whereas Ferrari usually has them in the slower sectors and whatnot. And Barcelona, I think, is a solid mix of both. So I think, once again, you'll kind of have a Sochi-type race where their cars are both strong in different areas of the track.
You're right. Barcelona's
And
one of
Barcelona is a passing track.
the. I say
definitely.
it's one of the unique
Good Ed
tracks
Sheeran
that
song too.
F1
Whoever.
Barcelona, it's a good song.
and
by
George
Ed Sheeran.
Ezra,
Oh, God, look into it.
guy who sings
Oh, yeah.
Budapest.
Yeah.
He has a song
Sorry.
named Barcelona.
I didn't mean to throw you
Great
off.
album, people. I can't see you, but I know you see me. It's a great album.
Some of them do. The ones on iTunes don't. They only know what our sexy
That's
voices
true. Go
sound
check
like.
it out. Anyway, Barcelona is a great racetrack, and I think exactly what you said. It shows the difference in driving abilities and the type of cars that F1 has. Really getting into F1, you really can tell. You really can see.
I utilized technology to watch the end of that Formula One race because I was at the South Beach Boardwalk for a cancer walk, and I was glued to my dashboard where my phone sat, and I watched the end of that race because I just was riveted at the fact that Vettel was closing so quickly. It was
But
amazing.
it got to the point where he wasn't because of the DRS and Bottas being
Bottas
able
being
to.
able to use it.
I mean,
Well, once
whether
again,
you
that
like him or
dirty
not,
air,
Nick,
it's
take
it's
take
very,
aside
very
the
hard
team
to
they raced
pass.
for. Bottas cleared that lap traffic with ease. Vettel couldn't.
Well, it was
Or
only,
he didn't.
There was only one lap car between them, and it was Felipe.
Wow.
It really is just a matter of where you catch him, because Bottas caught him down the long front stretch to the
Yeah.
first turn. And I even told my dad the second he got around him, I was like, "That's pretty much over
What-
now."
what were the
'Cause Seb
results
caught him
overall?
around the long sweeper.
Bottas, Vettel, and Raikkonen. Top
Yeah,
three, right?
first podium for Raikkonen. So that
Okay,
was kind of
good.
cool. I definitely didn't think he would get that with Hamilton behind. I
It
mean,
was the
he's
first.
just beyond awful.
I think
Yes. You
This is
don't
going to be
need
the second
remind me every
time
10
we had mentioned the
seconds.
Illuminati numbers. It was the first win. It was the first place finish for Bottas. It was the second. It was the 22nd second place for Sebastian Vettel.
He has double
and
his second places. with wins.
33rd third place for
Yeah.
Kimi Räikkönen.
It's pretty wild.
And we have an example with that on the stock car side with the numbers. I'll tell you what, man. I'm not a numbers
Yeah,
guy,
you do.
but I
We-
am now.
wasn't
We'll
it-
mention it later. We'll mention it later.
Isn't Bubba Wallace part of that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
So-
Tim Califano mentioned it earlier.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll talk about it later. But I mean,
We're stealing it.
I texted it first. I did. I got the picture to prove it.
Besides F1, IndyCar.
All right, so really quick,
text.
just to put a bow on it, as our very own Brennan would say.
you're
So
flattering me.
with Hamilton finishing fourth and Vettel coming second, the Drivers' Championship is still really close, within
1
13
point.
points. Drivers' Championship within 13 points. Vettel pulled ahead a little bit, but I mean, still not enough for comfort.
But-
And unfortunately, Mercedes
comfort.
has us beat by 1 point in the constructors right now. But can I just say, 25%, it's hard to believe, but 25% of the season's already over. Only 20 races. We're already on race 5. And there is 1 point between the two biggest constructors in the world on different sides of the earth. Well, not really, but pretty far away.
I don't wanna
Two of the
jinx
best
it.
drivers, and 25% of the year is over, and it's incredible to watch. I don't
Yeah,
think anyone
but
saw this coming.
last year, I think between myself, Brennan, and Eric Graham, I was like, why don't we just give Rosberg the title? And then Rosberg had such a stretch of like bad luck.
It looked like he was gonna just give it away.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things. I said that last year, and with you saying what you're saying now, I've learned to shut my mouth
No, I'm just saying. I mean,
That's funny, Josh.
but usually when you're 25% in of a Formula One season, I mean, we kind of already know who won the championship. I mean, the last few years have been an exception with the Hamilton-Rosberg thing, but usually, I mean, it really is one guy running away with it. I mean, a few years back, it was actually Sebastian.
Now,
So,
when
it's pretty wild. It's different to see two teams.
when
it's been a
Vettel
long
like
time.
crashes out for the next 4 races in a row.
You know who hasn't had a good season so far in F1? Who's looking to not continue that Indianapolis? Is-
El Nano.
Is that how you Italians pronounce it?
That's his nickname. Yes, Fernando Alonso. When they're
How
going
is
to
it
their
a
home race
nickname?
in Bar-
Like-
El Nano. I don't know. I looked it up
Oh,
what it meant
gosh.
once.
Anyway, he's
I don't
racing in
remember.
Indianapolis, folks.
Doesn't that mean like the little girl?
No.
It does not.
Alonso ended up testing his Andretti Autosport number 29.
Which made more laps than it did at
It did, and I'll tell you,
That's so true.
I got to watch the bulk of that, and at first, from what I gathered, the rookie orientation program in Indianapolis is almost foolproof. I mean, they literally have the car with so much downforce. I mean, there's actually a wicker, and I'll quote Robin Miller. There's a rear wicker that they put on the wing, and Robin Miller was talking to Mario Andretti, who was in the pits with Michael and Marco and all the people who were helping out Alonso when he would come in and debrief. And they said, you know, you going to take that wicker off the rear wing yet? And Mario goes, no, but that time is coming. It's coming. He's like, yeah, because that's the time where Fernando could hand over the wallet, the keys, and say to his wife, I may see you later, I may not, you know, because that's how much the car changes. And Alonso got up to about 222 miles an hour, and they were going to go throughout the rest of the day, but weather was coming in, and they kind of used up all their tires rather quickly. But he did pass the rookie orientation program, said he felt comfortable, and he was so nonchalant. And the coolest thing about the live coverage today was that every time Fernando got out of the car and got into the race huddle with the engineers, they stuck a microphone in there, and you were able to hear every single thing that he was saying. It was as up close and personal as you can get in a paddock or a garage
Do you
area.
know what it was kind of like? You were just talking about the car.
Yeah,
I
you were
missed
saying
that part.
it just felt good. Felt good. No,
You know what? It was
Oh,
impressive.
this is a
yeah,
fantastic,
just
it's a
blowing it all up.
fantastic car. I'm very happy to work with
Nick
the
and I
team
were out
and
and
Marco
about,
helped
and
me.
I have the Indycar app, which I'm sure you do, Brennan, and it's a fantastic app. I mean, it gives you live broadcast right away. Verizon does a fantastic job
Yeah.
for their fans, you know, and I think Monster is going to slowly get that way with the Cup side.
Mhm.
But I mean, it's a fantastic app that's really useful.
Yeah. It's and I mean, go ahead, Josh.
I'm sorry. There was something that stood out to me. There was a problem that Alonso had in the F1 race where his KERS system wasn't working. So he was down how many horsepower on the straights?
Wait.
Well, he didn't even take the green.
Yeah. Car broke on the installation lap or pace lap, whatever.
Oh, that's what
we
okay.
call it in F1.
Okay,
And,
yeah.
And I said this to my dad. He had enough rolling. He had enough inertia to roll into pit lane. I
That's-
swear to you, he hit the
Well,
brakes and stopped it just to make a scene.
But
I love Fernando, but he's a little bit spiteful like that.
But he was having all like mechanical issues.
Yeah,
Is
but he
really what
purposely parked sideways on the track, in my
Yeah.
personal
You know,
opinion,
he wasn't
to
only,
make sure there was another formation lap.
he wasn't only lacking horsepower, but he lacked 2 birds in the practice
I
today
saw that.
at Indianapolis. Rest in peace.
Now he hasn't finished the race.
If I was a
though,
bird,
in
I
F-
wouldn't mind getting hit by Fernando. But sorry, continue.
He hasn't finished the
If you're gonna
race
go
yet
out, that's the
No, he
way
has
to
not.
do it.
in F1.
He's not.
Taken out by a world champion at
yeah.
Indy.
I love how
yeah.
Nick wants to like
Goals.
push Alonso up on this pedestal, and he like I said,
It's
he
like the
hasn't-
balloons and the whole
He's
Flippy Mazda.
incredible.
thing.
He
I'll
hasn't finished the
I'll
race
tell
yet
you what, there were over
this
10
year.
And that's not his fault.
But there were over 10,000 people watching the live stream on that's just Facebook alone
All right. Anyway,
of Alonso testing in
And
Indy.
they're
He
probably
also
weren't even in the United
he said this
States.
quote at the end of his practice: "I have to be honest. The right foot has its own brain, his own power, and was not connected to my brain." End quote. So I mean,
interesting.
the guy
He
feels
just
like he has a
floored
couple
us.
brains on board, and they ain't listening.
He's just trimmed out. They were just trying to trim him out.
Additionally, something that I've been obviously passionate about is the Halo system. F1 has elected to give the Halo the finger and go with a windscreen design.
They're still testing that. They
They're
don't know. If
still
Yeah, it's not-
testing,
it's not
but
definitive
they're
yet, yeah.
looking at possibly implementing that for 2018. So they're doing away with the Halo idea and changing direction. Which I mean, it seemed from all the other testing and reports that, all right, well, yeah, they both kind of work, but we're probably going to go with the Halo. And now all of a sudden, this is a complete, backpedaling on it, and do you guys have any opinion? I mean,
There,
I
there
know,
has to be some. I mean, I'm going to trust the judgment of the drivers, who are the ones who would be protected by this thing.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't consider it to be any different than the outcry of when there was a demand for soft walls around all corners of the racetracks in the late 2000s. I mean, we knew about soft wall technology in the mid 2000s, but it wasn't until Jeff Gordon found every spot at every track to hit it where there was still a concrete wall.
and then
that there
Kyle
was-
Busch.
Yeah, and then Kyle Busch.
Elliott Sadler, Pocono.
That there was an aggressive push to make it happen, and once you have that band of drivers behind that type of a movement, it's going to happen. I really think that if all the drivers or a majority of the drivers in any FIA sanctioned event, whether it be Formula One, Formula E, even if you want to protrude it down to IndyCar, if they felt this was the answer, they would make it the answer now. And there's got to be something, whether it be vision, whether it be the structural integrity of the halo itself.
Getting
There
out
has
of
to be
the car in
something
an
we don't
accident.
know. Yeah.
My fear is that they're letting fans dictate anything outside of we want closer racing or something more exciting. Outside of that, when it comes to driver safety, there have been complaints about that won't look the traditional look of the open cockpit and stuff like that. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, I don't think that's the reason, though. I can't see that as
I'm
being
just
the
afraid
reason.
There are
that's-
some drivers that don't like the Halo. To your point, I personally don't actually know if they would go through with it in 2018. I almost feel like they're just pacifying the people who are passionate about it, which is wrong. But I think that could be a thing.
It sounds like they've given up on the idea entirely.
Right.
I'm catching all this shade as a race fan that you're throwing us under the bus. As a race fan, I want what I want to see, and if I'm going to pay a ticket to watch it, I want to have some sort of say in it.
Expensive driver safety.
That's all I'm saying.
Josh,
presenting a man that
pound
thinks
it,
the
man.
Halo is communist.
No, Sochi's a great track. Sochi's a fantastic track.
Yeah, no one sprayed him with champagne. They just won't do it.
Speaking of
I think if I win, I would do it.
Not champagne, but there was a lot of Mel Yellow going on in Charlotte, North Carolina this weekend
Yeah.
for the NHRA 4-wide nationals down in Charlotte.
Okay, never mind.
Ooh.
Was that a bad segue?
No, the segue was absolutely fine. I just thought we were going to a different division.
Well, real quick, because I actually watched
RC
it.
cars.
For any of you guys who really aren't into drag racing like myself,
Not
Straight line
Not
driving.
possible.
check
To
out
not
the
be into drag
4-wide
racing.
nationals at Charlotte. It's a fantastic event. I camped outside the racetrack. Fantastic facility. Real quick, we'll run down real quick the winners. Torrance, Caps. Gosh, if I could see, this would be great. Tonglet and
Elliot Tonglet.
Tonglet, yeah, thank you.
And I always mess up his name.
McGaha.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say a side note here. Old Bridge own Englishtown ran Pete Gasco Jr. won the factory stock division in down there in the 4-wide nationals, which was pretty cool to see.
That's nice.
Considering he was from Old Bridge.
Now,
That's it.
well, did you see Courtney Force's incident?
I did, but if you're going to show it now, I can't see it.
No. I'm like, I'll share it to our Facebook page when I get a chance. I mean, she slapped that wall pretty good. Now, again, initially it doesn't look like a whole lot, but if you think about the speed involved, that was
it's a pretty
good.
flush hit. I mean, that's the kind of hit you don't want to see in drag racing.
That's a rib breaker right
Yeah.
there. I mean, maybe not
They
necessarily.
violently hit the wall.
Yeah,
when they hit the wall.
because you don't think about the speed necessarily involved, and that car just made a hard right and just boom.
Yeah.
They
Then
probably
John
hit the wall
Force-
harder than road or like cars like Indy cars, Formula One cars that we see. Just because there's no brake before they hit the wall because it all happens so fast. And
Yeah.
sometimes they're going close. Over
It just
300 miles an hour.
turns. It's
incredible.
It's
And there is no safer barriers in drag racing.
No.
For the record.
Unfortunately, maybe one day. Now I remember John Force. I think raced like very shortly after that, and he still did his thing. And they interviewed him afterwards.
win?
I
I would imagine that
I
probably
believe-
throwed him off his game.
believe he won.
Wow. Okay.
They interviewed him, and he cursed a couple times. They apologized for that. Luckily, it was actually already edited. and
passionate
bleeped
guy.
out. Yeah, he's
I love John
excited.
Force.
He's passionate.
and that's great to see. I
He's
think.
the Max D of drag racing.
But he actually
Biggest name.
mentioned the series we're about to talk about, IndyCar, in his interview, and then he's like, "I saw that, and then Courtney hitting the wall. I gotta go check on my kids, man. I gotta take So he actually was like, I'm excited, thank you. I'm trying to be polite,
But
but
I'm a
I
dad
also
at the
have
same
to
time.
go check
But
on
I'm a
my daughter
father.
here. So yeah, it was. He was trying to
No, yeah.
please everybody, I guess.
Yeah.
Chevrolet, Peak.
And he's one of the
Papa
few guys that
John's.
can kind of pull it off.
He's a great guy. He's a great guy.
So I mean,
met John many times.
Pretty much when you have given NHRA the head guys, the competition, Brittany Force, is that the other one?
yes.
You can do whatever you want.
Now there was one of the top fuel guys, I believe. His car, they had the reverse, or basically it was in reverse. Part of it got jammed, and they were trying to. It was all in the staging area, and the car just like kind of moved in reverse. One of the guys basically got thrown from the car. He was trying to get out of the way, but he like got knocked. Coos was the last name. I'm going to see if I can share that on our page.
Cruz?
No. This is a crew member. Last name was Coos.
Gotcha.
He got thrown, to the ground, or it was just a.
It's terrible.
I wish I could find the name right now.
The driver not realize it was in reverse when he let off the brake.
No. It was almost like a transmission type issue where it was jammed, like they couldn't get it into the right spot for whatever reason.
Must have been a Ford.
Quite possible. And then there was something else. It is the most American thing that you can ever imagine.
Sochi.
That's Russian. Stan.
Demolition Drag Racing. It is.
Oh God.
It is awesome. I shared the video here on our Facebook page. Nick is like, "What is wrong with you people? This is everything that is." We don't wear our fancy Riddler suits like Lewis Hamilton. We don't.
He wore one last night to the Met Gala.
Oh my God.
Why do you know this?
Because I follow him.
Literally follows.
He was actually there with
behind
Kylie Jenner, by the way. So,
Oh
you
my
guys,
God.
Well, you guys want to talk about, promoting
I don't
motorsport? That's the way to do it.
I don't want to talk about
By the
bad.
way,
In the bedroom?
by the way,
I don't want to talk about bad Pepsi commercials here.
quick
I want
thing.
to.
I really want to go into the, you know what I'm hinting at here, the Sebring thing with Jack Roush. So were you wrapped up, or were you getting into something? Because I don't want
He
to.
was gonna
Well, no,
talk
I
about
was
it.
just gonna. You got to hear Demolition Drag Racing. It is the coolest thing. There's a video on the Facebook page.
Oh
I will
my
share it
God,
again.
that'll probably
No,
give me nightmares.
All right, you basically you
That's
take
everything I
like
tried not to happen when I was.
you
racing.
take. It doesn't have to be a junkyard car. It can be whatever. You can spend like a couple thousand if you want. You can spend $100 like one guy did. And all that matters is that the cars have to make contact once on their way down. You still want to be the first to cross the line, but you have to hit.
Can you spin them out or something?
Yeah, if you want to take them, you don't have to finish in the lane that you started in.
Oh my God.
So but here's the thing: if you want to
Oh
hold
my
up and try to
God.
turn the other
Yeah.
guy, or what if you just sit the line? You still have to make contact. You can force the other guy to come around and try to get to you, and now he's facing the wrong
Nick,
way.
this sounds really sick. That's all I'm
Oh
saying.
my God.
It is so
Oh
cool,
my
Nick. I'm going
God.
to show you the video later. You're going to think we're all nuts, but it is the most American thing that I've ever seen.
You want to talk about that Bruce Jenner?
I'm about to talk about
No.
a real American athlete. Caitlyn Jenner, also known as Bruce Jenner, before the change. Interesting statistic about her and him at this point. After he won the Olympics, he's a big car lover. Went sports car racing. I think started 50 races. Actually drove for Jack Roush. Won the 12 Hours of Sebring, partnering. Help me out. Scott Pruitt. Little known fact.
Well, you told me
Cool.
this last week,
It's
and I
pretty
didn't know,
awesome.
but I have to tell you, you have a future in this business, bro. Because that was the best segue ever to tell the whole Bruce Jenner story in like 2 sentences.
Thank you. I don't want to take a lot of time, but Caitlyn Jenner's a
So
race
what
car
else?
driver.
What else was racing?
Bruce was. Caitlin's not.
All right, but before we take our last break, then we
Well-
come back to talk about some stock car motorcycle stuff. I want to put a period on the IndyCar weekend because there's
I
something
gotta fill that one,
that's
too.
bothering me.
Okay.
IndyCar was back in Phoenix.
They
after-
were?
after they returned to the track last year after a long hiatus.
boring.
And
Well played, Josh.
well,
Well played.
that's kind of where I'm going with this. Now, Simon Pagenaud won the race because he inherited the lead after a poorly timed caution. Major wreck on the first lap after Mikhail Aloshin lost it on his own in turn number 1.
Is that your favorite little Russian?
Yes, he is.
I
but
think
he-
about him
He made a
whenever
mistake.
I see him. I think about you. Just
Yeah,
so you know, yeah.
no.
And you think about how he came from Sochi.
Wait till they get to the big tracks. I think he's going to be great at Indy. Go back and watch Mikhail Aloshin's time trial run from Indianapolis last year, and you'll understand why I love the kid. But he had a wreck, took out point leader Sebastian Bourdais, Marco Andretti, Graham Rahal, Max Chilton, a couple other cars. Robin Miller put a story together, which is probably accessible on Racing Magazine, but I found it on FoxSports.com, and it points out the problem with the current IndyCar short oval package. Now, here's problem number one. There's only 2 short ovals. In fact, 3. Iowa and Phoenix were the only 2 on the schedule last season. Both races were terrible.
I need Eric Graham's drop. Cars went around in a circle.
Both races were abysmal. And you know it's bad, right? You know it's bad when there is a competitive gap throughout the field in time trials or qualifying, and when the leader catches the tail end of the pack, he cannot lap them because the aerodynamics are so pivotal and so important. They're only allowing the cars to be with such equal space between one another. You can't even lap the guy who's in last place. So Robert Miller put a story together explaining how this should fall directly on the series. In fact, Ryan Hunter-Reay was quoted as saying that they went back to Phoenix with a bunch of cars and tested some different aerodynamic packages to try to see what would work, to see if they could change the racing product at a track which is really as important as Phoenix. I mean, let's be honest. There's only about 5 ovals left on the schedule. Can you really afford to lose another one?
Do they race at Milwaukee anymore?
No, Milwaukee's pretty much done.
Sadly, Milwaukee will never be what it used to be.
Yeah, it's just about done.
I like that track. There's another one that they...
ORP? Well, IndyCar never raced at ORP, but ORP is a fantastic racetrack, too.
Right. But you can't afford to lose another oval, particularly a small oval as unique as Phoenix. Well, they went back with the same exact aero package, and the racing product was just as terrible as it was a year ago.
In that testing, they did find something that all the drivers thought would be good for the series and for solving this product issue.
Mm-hmm.
And then IndyCar said, "Nah, it's going to cost the teams too much money." Blah 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 to fill in a GD hole in part of the Dallara frame.
Yeah, and that was apparently the fix that Josh is referring to, which is noted in the article from Robert Miller. Excuse me, is there's a hole in the chassis, in the under tray of an IndyCar that is meant to deflect air or to have air pass through to try to slow it down, to stop it from lifting when it gets turned around backwards on the super speedway. Well, to be completely honest, speeds don't really get high enough for aerodynamic lift on a short oval where if a car gets turned around, it will go airborne. So they found that if they seal that hole on the short oval, it kind of allows for more passing. Ryan Hunter-Reay really led a charge to try to make that change happen, and it was shot down abruptly, and nothing was done. Well, I'll tell you, if I was a ticket holder for Phoenix and I was at that race on Saturday, I'd be pissed. To know that the series went ahead and knew what type of product they were going to be putting on the table, and they allowed it to just happen anyway without making any changes whatsoever. I mean, they knew what they were doing. The average paying customer didn't know what they were doing, but the series knew what they were doing. And they allowed it to go on. They allowed it to happen.
That's like some Bernie Madoff stuff going on right there.
Well, I mean, you knew it would be bad. And the bottom line is, if they don't make any changes at all, Iowa is probably going to be just as bad because Iowa was dreadful last year. In fact, the thing that you heard in the opener where I was complaining about the wave around rule, that happened at Iowa because there was only 2 cars in the lead lap. And once they did that weird wave
Now, how many cars are left in the lead lap at the end of this race?
I believe you noted it.
I did. 4 cars. How many were left in the race?
14.
14 cars. Now, 21 is already kind of a small field.
Yeah.
Fine. I know if you're a NASCAR person, you're expecting 40. Used to be 43. Fine, 40.
Yeah,
Still,
it's not like that
40
with
cars.
Open
You're 21 cars starting a race. All right, fine. Okay. But to only have 14 cars left on the track.
Yeah, and I mean, really, there was the big wreck at the beginning, which took out about 5 guys. There were 2 smaller wrecks.
I was going to
Graham Rahal was one of them, and all that. But it's just one thing. You had
Steak and
4
shake.
cars left. Now, part of that was due to the pit timing of Pagano. As a caution came out, he had just crossed the line. Caution came out, so he was able to have moved on to that because they don't time and timing scoring is not the same as in NASCAR, where they'll. Freeze it, whatever. And they don't have the same wave around rule. So Pagano was almost a lap ahead. He was 9/10 of a lap ahead of all the other cars. He was at the back of the field, but he was still the leader.
Right.
So even though the cars that were at the front of the field crossed the line, as soon as Pagano at the back of that pack crossed the line, it was already the next lap.
Yeah. If it wasn't for that, then
they might have had a little bit more, it would have had more cars on the lead lap at the end,
Yeah.
sure. So that was great for Pagano. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if that was me
First
and I
win on
found
an oval for our defending IndyCar champion too.
but if I was in that position, I'd be like, awesome, man. I have that
Yeah.
much time to play with and take it easy. Yeah, I mean, I'm with him there. But as far as a product for the fans, that is absolutely horrendous. Why do they even have a rule like that? Why don't they have something to amend that, something with the wave around, or I don't know. I just
but the racing product itself was just not up to par as to what you would expect for an IndyCar race, especially this season, being that the standard was set so high. Also, give a call to J.R. Hildebrand, first race back after being out with an injured and broken wrist. He returns, finished third on the podium. A couple days later, he goes out to the big IndyCar test at Gateway, and he put the car in the turn 2 fence. That test had to be cut short due to the fact that they were cutting tires, perhaps due to some repairs that were made to the track to try to improve drainage. So that's something that they're going to have to watch when the series returns to Gateway. Before we take our last break and head to the NASCAR segment, there's one other bit of news that I want to touch on really quickly. Former NASCAR and IndyCar driver John Andretti, it has been announced he is diagnosed with stage 4A colon cancer. This is a story that was run by a local Indianapolis television station, WTHR. If you haven't seen the video that was put together yet by that station, I invite you all to go check it out. Andretti, who is now 54-year-old nephew of legendary NASCAR and IndyCar driver Mario Andretti, came public with this television station to talk about his battle, and in particularly the fact that he put off having a colonoscopy, which in turn ended up leading to the diagnosis. He was originally diagnosed at a stage 3, and like I said, it has since transformed to a stage 4A. And in his words, and I quote, "There is only a stage 4B from my understanding, so I'm not really excited about that. But the good news is that we are still on a side that has a good chance of being cured." The hashtag #CheckItForAndretti has been trending as he is trying to get the word out for more people to have themselves checked thoroughly to make sure that there is nothing going on. And I want to do my due diligence to all of our listeners. I invite you all to do the same. Better to be safe than sorry, as uncomfortable a procedure as it may be. And our thoughts and prayers are with John Andretti and his family. And again, WTHR, Indianapolis television station, is where you could find the full report and story as John begins this fight. And with that, we will take a break. We come back on the other side. We'll talk about John at the division where John Andretti actually made his name in, the NASCAR Cup Series, and a whole bunch more that happened at Richmond. And we'll also bring up a rather controversial finish to the Supercross race at MetLife Stadium. We'll be right back to the RPM Podcast. Don't go anywhere. Hey everyone, this is Eric Brennan from the RPM Podcast. Want to get in touch with us? Send us an email at racingpodcastnj@gmail.com. And yes, hate mail for Josh is encouraged. I know. Why are you all cranky for? Wake up.
That's Sam's M.O.
Who cares?
What
it's
a
10:30 at
mess.
Don't wake the beast.
What a mess.
night. Welcome back to the RPM Podcast, Midnight Edition.
Sure
Josh
feels
Matthews,
like it.
Sam Ballard Jr., Nicholas Rendo, and of
I
course,
play one song.
I'm Eric Brennan. So, I'm hungry, man. I got work in the morning.
Eat a
Yeah,
Snickers.
Wawa around the corner.
I'm hungry too.
Probably hitting that up. I don't know. We'll see. We are going to be at the Chapter House this Sunday.
We are?
May 7th. Indeed, we are. For the Geico 500 at Talladega Super Speedway. Pig roast, race cars, RPM podcast. What more do you need to know? Be there for 1 p.m. You can listen to us lead you right up to the green flag. Drink specials will be available as well.
Yep, we're going to get all the lowdown on that.
Apparently, we're going to Earnhardt country, Talladega.
Indeed, we are on his
Talladega.
Whatever the hell
retirement
that
tour
means.
now.
Talladega, how they pronounce it down there.
Now, with that, we are not going to dive too deeply into the NASCAR world. We will, in fact, touch on just some of the major points, and that was that there was not a lot of people at Richmond this past weekend.
Oh, here we go.
So attendance is a question, of course. Martin Truex Jr. hit with a rather awkward and newly formatted commitment cone violation. So for you New Jersey homeboys, that means that you apparently now have to have all 4 tires below that little commitment box, not even a cone anymore.
Okay, wait, hang on. Right here, this is something I'm ready to fight about, okay?
Let's go.
And this isn't about me being
Set him up. Let's play.
a Truex fanboy or whatever you want to call it, okay?
I lost my thing.
There's 2 problems
There
here.
it is.
The first off is he clearly, and you saw in the video, he had to go around one of the track trucks that was working. For me, if the track truck is going to be there doing anything, why were the pits open?
You're 100% right. I can't argue.
That was stupid that the pits were even open, okay? The pits should have been closed until the truck was out of the way because it's a bad spot. You have people diving in to pit road. They're pushing the limits and trying to, watch RPMs and all the other cars around, and you're going to put a track truck with crew guys right in the way. That's stupid, and I know Eric Graham is all about track safety and the safety of the track crew, and so am I, and that was just stupid to begin with. Second, apparently there was a theme about the all four tires having to be below the orange box, which is kind of where the cone would normally go.
It used to be 2, and apparently it was said in the drivers' meeting that for this race was going to have to be 4.
So supposedly it was said in the drivers' meeting. I don't know. I don't have it recording, but a lot of the drivers did not seem to get that message.
Oh, come on. They're race car drivers. They are designed to push rules to the limit.
Kyle Busch was another driver who got hit with that as well.
Now, there was some controversy on that, whether or not Logano had blocked his view of it, which intentionally or not, I mean, that works great for his advantage.
We ain't driving down the parkway.
We're going
to beat Sam up in a minute. But that obviously it bit Busch in the ass. It bit Truex in the ass. No, it was a theme for the day. It was a bunch of problems, and the drivers apparently did not get the message. I know they're going to push the limits here, but a couple drivers even said, like, I had 2 tires below, and they're like, oh no, well, it's 4 now. Now this is part of why Eric Graham and I don't talk anymore, because we had a fight regarding. Well, this is one of the things we had a fight over with rules.
Tell us how you really feel.
Look, I like Eric Graham, and normally
I didn't mean literally.
No, yeah,
I was being figurative.
All right, fine. The point is, we got into an argument over a rule and how clearly how clear the rule was made to the drivers. My argument was involving yellow flags and racing back to the line, kind of a thing. When it comes to the last lap, and I feel like this is something again that with one sentence. In the rule book, this wouldn't have happened. Where people were confused about it. It's like, nope, it's right here, black and white. Boom. You didn't do this, or you did this. This is why you're being issued this penalty, and you can't argue. Like, here's the video. Boom, done. And look. It made it great for us because now we have something to talk about on this. But at the same time, from a driver's perspective, you feel like you're getting screwed in the deal, and really, that wasn't your intention. It wasn't like
but a lot of people confirmed that the commitment cone thing was in fact said in the drivers' meeting.
Okay,
NASCAR, other drivers, a lot of people addressed.
But was it? But my thing is, why here when it used to be 2? When was the change? Made. Why not?
And you know what? If I'm one of the drivers, I would have wanted to combat that for this very reason. And you know what? Maybe they can get it overturned. But
if they say it in the drivers' meeting,
I'm not
that
against
is law.
That's fine, but is it in writing somewhere, in a rule book or something, or all right, at these 3 tracks, kind of like with the double yellow line, you can't go below it at the plate tracks, but the other tracks it's okay. All right, well at Richmond you're not allowed to just do 2 tires below the line; you have to have 4 below, whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a universal thing across all tracks,
but overall the rule seems like it's pretty black and white. Would you agree?
Yeah.
And
apparently.
It still caused a problem and a controversy, and it pisses me off, and I'm ready to fight Eric Graham again about it. But he's a great guy. Don't get me wrong, guys. It's just one of those things that I'm passionate about this, and I don't know.
We need to add that song from Frozen, "Let It Go," to our soundboard. Go ahead, Nick, sing it for me. Are you watching Alonso at Indy? Let it go.
Okay, we fixed that. Anyway,
the point being, it was a decent race. NASCAR should think about putting that VHT sticky stuff on Richmond. I think that would bring more racing involved.
I thought the
racing itself was great.
Yeah,
you were 3 wide for the lead in the middle of a run, but the problem is, I'll liken it to what we talked about with Bristol and with Talladega. I remember Richmond as being a 2-lane tight short track where everybody ran the bottom 2 lanes. Now the surface is all worn out. They're running it like it's a more downsized version of Atlanta, where they're all the way up against the wall and stuff. It's a short track that races like a speedway now,
which is very impressive if you look at the way these drivers have been able to get around the track.
Yeah, like it was a couple of years ago that I saw Kevin Harvick running up next to the wall. I'm like, what is he doing? You can't do that at Richmond. It's a stark contrast when they used to put that black sealer down and you could only run the 2 bottom lanes. So it's a little different. But Joey Logano used a little bit of pit strategy, got himself the win. Kyle Larson won the race on Saturday. And again, we'll get into that a little bit more once we get to the chapter.
Well, real quick, because I just want to, we brought it up. Bubba Wallace finished 6th for the 6th time In the 6 car.
Yep.
He finished 33rd, I think, at Daytona.
Yeah, and
3 plus 3 is 6.
Yep, and he finished 33rd in another race, which I'm trying to might have been Bristol.
Okay.
What? Where's he in points right now, though? I think he's actually up there in contention.
I think he's actually sixth in points.
I think he was 6th.
And Mellow Yellow sponsored the 6 car this weekend. Kyle Petty was sponsored by Mellow Yellow back in the day. 4 plus 2 equals 6. Mellow Yellow sponsored Kyle Busch in the 51, I believe, a few years ago. Or
I'm trying to remember who else it was. It was a number 51 though.
Yeah.
I don't remember who it was.
5 plus 1 is 6.
Yes.
I'm telling you, man.
There's something going on.
There's something in the water in Bubba Wallace's place, and I won't be drinking it. You know what I'm saying?
And then wasn't there something else going on with who won? Well, Logano, this is what, his 300th career start?
Yes, it was. I think 18th career Cup win.
Okay.
So
it was Justin Allgaier's.
What?
It was Justin Allgaier's race to lose on Saturday. That's all I'm saying.
yeah.
And I'm saying this now because I'm not gonna be able to talk about the chapter house because unfortunately I have to work.
Mhm.
But that's all I have to say.
Yeah, it's just really. I thought the racing weekend was pretty good at Richmond, and I mean, I'm excited to see what Talladega has to offer.
Bubba Wallace is 5th in the Xfinity points.
So he's over.
He's digging himself out of the hole.
he's got to back down one bit.
Yeah, it was a strong performance.
Finally, Supercross was right here in our backyard at MetLife Stadium. Eli Tomac got out to a great start, but went down on his own. And then Marvin Muscan, who is a teammate to championship contender Ryan Dungey, found himself in the lead on the final lap when Dungey made a move on Muscan, who bobbled, allegedly. Dungey made the last lap pass, went on for the win. I thought it looked like Muscan clearly moved over and let him go. Team orders in Supercross. I don't know how I feel about that.
Team orders in any form of motorsports? I don't know how I feel about that.
It's just bizarre and very uncomfortable, and we'll have to see if when there's a questionable call in basketball, people say that the ball never lies. We'll have to see what the racing gods say when they get to Sam Boyd Stadium this Saturday to decide the 2017 Supercross
2017 is
Championship.
flying by already. I can't believe it's already May.
The month of May, the greatest month in motorsports. Period. I can't wait.
Balloons. Fernando Alonso in an Indycar.
Indy 500.
I mean, race fans, what more do you want?
Monaco, Coke 600.
Chapter House. We got all this stuff going on.
Yeah, don't forget, come out to the Chapter House on Sunday, this coming Sunday, the 7th, is it?
Yep.
Yeah, 7th.
1 p.m.
1 p.m. We're going to be there live broadcasting and doing our thing. We're going to have some T-shirts for sale and maybe a couple for giveaways. And we're going to have a blast just like we did last time. It's going to be awesome. Hopefully Eric Brennan and Gary Larson will be calling the last couple laps again.
As long as the FCC don't find out.
Blah, blah, blah.
And thank you again for Pete MacDonald for coming on the show earlier today.
Yep.
Yeah, that was
don't
great.
Forget, check out racersguide.com and EgyptSpeedway.net. Also, don't forget to check out wallspeedwayracing.com so you can see the full schedule of events for this Saturday and every Saturday from now through the end of September.
With that said, what have we learned today, guys? Eric?
I happen to learn that Fernando Alonso is fearless and that he has 2 brains.
Doesn't he have a brain for each foot?
Really? I thought you said the right foot has a brain.
True.
on its own.
Okay. Those damn Europeans.
No.
What did we learn, Sam?
Me? Truthfully, I'm not going to say what I really learned today, but I learned that Josh judges me because of the amount of milk I put in my tea.
You put milk in your tea?
Oh, yeah. You're right.
No, it was
Was I late for this?
It wasn't the amount. It was the. He's like, oh, this one's less than half full.
No, I said it tastes like half and half. You can't put half and half in
Did
tea.
you taste it out of the jug before you put it in your tea?
Oh,
Okay.
it's okay. You worked there, so you can do that.
Nick, what'd you learn today, you
well-
dumbass?
Oh, Jesus. Actually, no. Mine's actually kind of an astute answer. I actually learned that they put on the training wheels, essentially, onto the rookie cars in the IndyCar.
You don't think Fernando would be that quick by himself?
Which was kind of cool.
At the end of the day,
you know
he was
what?
when he got that
If
222.
Kurt Busch can do it, that's all I have to say.
I learned that those Italian cars work great, except when you need them to.
Yeah.
Just
what are
put
you gonna
Botas
do?
behind the wheel, it'll get it done.
There you go. With that, we're done. We're prepping for the Chapter House. We'll see you there on Sunday. Before that, we'll see you at Wall on Saturday. On behalf of Josh Matthews, Sam Bell Jr., Nick Rendo, our buddy Pete MacDonald, I'm Eric Brennan. want to wish you all a safe ride home, especially me, because I'm going back to Staten Island late at night. I'm going to grab a Red Bull. Good night, everybody.
Go to Wall, text Eric Graham, and go to the chapter house on Sunday.
Follow Nick on Snapchat.